dear friend, Sam de la Torre, for a little chit-chat. Actually, most of the time it's a little chat and a whole lot of chit, if you know what I mean. Man, I am so ready for this show tonight, Sam.
Fired up.
Fired up. And, God, your guys are in here working their fingers to the bones. I assume it's the PCS show coming up. Is that right?
Well, it's next week, so we are
Is it?
up to our backs here, yeah. And for us, really, it starts now, so we're getting all of our stuff ready, kind of figuring out what we're going to take. This booth is a little bit smaller, and so we got to be a little bit more choosy about what we're going to take, and sometimes it's like, okay, we'll just take everything. Well, it doesn't all fit, so we have to kind of really make sure that what we take is going to fit. And so we're kind of that's kind of the process we're going through right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how you keep it all glued together, man. You're going 24/7.
Yeah, at
Good
the moment.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much my mind's on it all the time. So. But
I saw you chime in on Danny's show. You wanted to say hi to the guys on the El Dorado. And
Yeah.
They really appreciate it. TJ and Will both were happy to see you on there.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a long relationship with that boat, and they've always treated me really well, and so I'm really happy to be able to do a trip with those guys. It always ends up being really good. But overall, the boat itself, I mean, it's actually a boat that I think is somewhat undiscovered. I mean, it's really roomy, big galley, good platform as far as your fishing, the amount of bait it holds, all that kind of stuff. It's got a huge bow for us guys that like throwing jigs, and so they've really carved out a little bit of a thing with a few things that they've done. That San Nicolas thing, they've kind of really exploited that and made that something of a regular kind of destination. When I was growing up, I never fished over there myself, so I knew it existed, but I never really fished it as a regular destination. And those guys have made it a regular destination.
It's a cool place.
And other boats do it too now,
Yeah.
And they started doing that reverse overnight thing, where they were doing the nighttime jigging deal where they were leaving in the afternoon or midday or something like that to fish that night. So they've done a couple things that is kind of a little different. And so, but overall, the boat and TJ, I mean, they're all great,
Yeah, 100%. Are you going to have any announcements with regard to specials at the PCS show tonight? And yeah, we're doing next week, right?
We'll do next week, right before.
That's when we're going to do it?
Yeah, that's going to be a little, yeah.
Okay.
Once again, because then we'll have everything kind of more finalized. But, I mean, just as a sneak peek, I mean, we are going to have a lot of the same stuff. But there's a few things that we're taking here that weren't available at the last show, and there's some things that were available at the last show that are no longer available. So it's a little bit of a mix, but overall, it's similar deals. It's just going to be more people, and we got to have more things, ready to go.
I can't wait, man. It's going to be a great show. Are you excited about it?
Yeah. You're going to be there pretty much every day.
Yeah, I'll come hang out near your place. I like hanging out by you.
Pretty cool.
Everybody puts the two of us together all the time, dude, so
yeah.
it's really cool. And I see a lot of good people. I know people are coming up from Ensenada to go to the show, and it's going to be really great. Tonight, of course, we're going to have a big raffle. I'm going to let Chuck Zimmer from Z Custom Rods. Are you from Z Custom Rods or the president of the Redondo Beach Rod and Gun Club, or both?
I wear many hats.
I got to spit all that out every time I introduce you? Oh, man. Here is Chuck Zimmer from Z Custom Rods and El Presidente de Redondo Beach Rod and Gun Club. Come over here. I'm going to put a mic on you because every time I give you a mic,
I
say hold
down
it
somewhere.
you won't do it. So take over.
Okay, how's it going, guys? Our monthly raffle is tonight. So
This is a big one. Wow.
we got a lot of. I'd say there's about $1,500 worth of stuff here.
Yeah. Easy.
Yeah. So first of all, I started with the kind of a hybrid of a rod. It was a CP70 extra heavy. It's kind of for your daytime sinker rig stuff. A lot of guys break down they break down their heavy gear at night to run a sinker rig during the day. So I thought, what a great idea to make kind of a rail rod style, but lighter. That's a good 60 to 80 pound rod. And it's just something you can always have set up for a sinker rig, I figured it'd be a great way to just keep it rigged up and ready to go.
Yeah, heck yeah. Beautiful work, Chuck.
Long foregrip.
Long foregrip, yeah.
Put it
It's
on
set
the
up
rail.
like a rail rod, but it's like a lighter rail rod.
Mm-hmm. That's a cool one there.
Yeah, and so the next rod's going to be a Zeus 4. And don't quote me on the jig size, but I think that is your 300 to 200 to 400?
250 to 4.
250 to 4, yeah. So that is a great middle of the line. Also done by 310 Rod Works. Darren, he makes some really good stuff over there.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Love that guy.
And
So
this blanket is kind of like one of the more popular ones.
It
too.
is the most
Yeah.
popular, I think, Zeus blank that is out right now. Talking about Darren, we were over there talking to him today, and he found an oddball that he had produced, which is not really produced very much, I guess he said, but it is one of his TTR 6480, so it's an 8-foot rod, 25 to 40, but it is a deckhand style. So it has no reel seat on it. That way you can put the reel anywhere you want it. So if you got a longer arm or a shorter arm, I don't know if anybody can see my daughter. She's down there.
Not
in the bottom.
yet. She'll
Oh,
get in
there she is.
There she is.
We have a mini audience tonight.
I love it. Michael Limon's not here, so we need
Oh
somebody
yeah,
else.
we got to fill in.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a kind of an oddity from Darren. He had found it in the stack, and we picked it up, and it's an extra we're doing tonight. So
Oh, you're throwing that in? 'Cause
we're
that wasn't
throwing that.
advertised.
That wasn't advertised. That
Wow.
is something that Darren had done, and
Tremendous.
yeah.
I don't care what Anthony says about you.
So we've got 2 custom tumblers, one with my logo, one with the Friedman logo.
Of course, everybody wants the Friedman logo. Huh?
Nah, everybody wants mine. I'd actually picked up a tuna jig. It's one of the Nomad Streakers. It's a 320 gram.
Leaving
That-
you to be
that'll-
a streaker.
Right. That'll be on for tonight as well. And whatever else we can find around Sam's
I think
shop,
you
we'll
had
throw
some
it
of
up
these-
here.
Don't you have a tumbler?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
Oh,
got
you
the 2
mentioned that?
tumbler.
Okay,
Yeah.
Perfect. Anything else? And there's the info right there.
There's
right?
the info. Yeah, I'll be up here off to your right and be writing out raffle tickets. One thing I did want to address. So I've been getting a lot of texts. Hey, did you get my tickets and this, that? Yes, I do get your tickets. I get a notification from either Venmo or Zelle. So that allows me to take all the names and how many tickets you bought, and I will write them down. So everything is all documented, and I'll have a list. It's very easy to do it that way. So, yeah.
Well, watch out for Scott Bucher because those are phony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One
money's
thing,
real.
Yeah, one thing I kind of wanted, I've been experimenting with titanium guides, and a couple that I did just recently. I threw them up on Facebook, but these are both titanium guides that I'm starting to anodize. I think the coloring and stuff has come out pretty cool, and if you guys are interested in titanium guides that are colored, give me a call. It's going to take me a little time to kind of get the hang of everything, but yeah, we can start making colored guides for all the rods that I make, at least. So
Beautiful. Is that it?
let's hand you back to Sam and
Yeah,
get
you're
this
busy,
going.
right?
Yeah, it's going to be a
I
busy
just
night.
wanted an excuse to put my hand down your shirt again.
Well, it happens.
All right, beautiful. I'm loving it. Mackey's in the house. Can you believe it? People were asking about you, man. Mackey. He's back.
I was at Disneyland yesterday.
He was at Disneyland,
Oh,
ladies
man.
and gentlemen. All right. Speaking of Mackey, cool granddaddy loves Mackey. He says, "What the hell? Like the Fred Hall show, me, Sam, Michael, and Mini Mike with Daniel, and nobody can find Phil."
Yeah, he was looking for you at the booth.
Oh, okay. Sorry, man.
Yeah, he
I was there.
Not when he was there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
But
sorry
they
about
were
that.
looking for you.
Abe,
No,
forgive me.
I was hoping they had found you, but it looks like they didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, really. I was hiding. I was over with Bard Hall hiding
Somewhere,
out.
yeah.
Yeah. Current Jam. I got to see Ricky Ricardo down there at our surf fishing event. Huge crowd again. Thank you all for coming. Happy you're going to be at the show. Looking forward to seeing you all. He's happy you're going to be there, Sam, and I am too.
Come on
the
down.
Cranker, Mike Krinkovich says, "Hitty ho, fellas."
Heidi ho.
Heidi ho, fellas. Thank you. I need your help, Sam. And help me with this one, because this is a good friend of yours and mine, for that matter. Andre Totoescu.
Totescu, I guess. yeah.
Totescu. All right. Yes, please. Specials on the PCS show.
Really?
Really, that's his.
Oh, that's your. Yeah, I know who he is. That's right. Yeah. David Rosenthal says, "Good evening, Phil and Sam." David will be at the show also with his Angle R pliers. Did I get that right?
Cool. Angle R.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We're looking forward to it. Andre says Chuck, which is better than what he normally says about you. It rhymes with that, though. But very, very close. Martin M. Hi, guys. Is the new Calstar 95. Oh, this guy, I think, asked on the Danny Kadota Show, maybe. And I said, yeah, come back on the sand.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay.
Is the new Calstar 95 similar to the Seeker G95 black steel? Seeker being 30% graphite and 70% glass.
No, I wouldn't call it similar. I mean, so yes and no. It's one of those things in which it's similar in the sense of they're both, they're jig sticks, and I think the guys are going to love both of them. But if you pull on both, you'll notice the difference. In the Calstar 95, there's two different ones. So they have one that's all glass, which is going to be the BT95 and the T95. The T95 being the honey color one. And then there's the BTG95. So the BTG95 is the graphite and glass one. So that's the one that you would, I guess, kind of say is a little closer in construction. But it's a different action altogether. In fact, they're still kind of refining the BTG95. And I was talking to Calstar today about it. And so that might be a little different than what I have now. The all glass one is probably, in my opinion, probably a little closer to the Seeker as far as overall feel. But if you're looking for something to be made of the same thing, then obviously the one that has the graphite is more similar as far as the materials that are in it. But the action as far as, meaning the bend profile and kind of the way it feels when you pull on it, I would say that the glass rod feels closer to what that Seeker feels like.
All right, very good. Yes, we came up with that the G95, according to Will, was between the 90 and the 100. And I said, oh, really? The 95 is between? No, excellent. I said, we better ask Sam.
Yeah, and that's kind of been the general look at it, because there's already a 90 and there's already a 100. And so you would figure that the 95 is, either a long 90 or a short 100. And that's kind of what I thought at first when they first told me that they were coming out with these. And to a degree, obviously they are similar, like I'm saying, is, they're all jig sticks, and so they're going to be used for that. Guys are going to love them for sure. But I do feel like they feel different, and part of it is probably because I've pulled on a million rods a million times. And so I definitely have a certain familiarity with certain rods. And so when I pulled on them, I immediately felt the difference. Whether that's a difference that somebody's going to, call out as a reason to buy one or not, I certainly, I'm going to add it to my arsenal. I think it's a rod that, especially at Cedros, is going to be something that I'm really going to like a lot. And so, that's where I'm going to probably use it a lot this year. But even locally, if we get some surface iron bite this year, locally, I can see myself using those 95s locally as well. So, that's going to be, I think, for Calstar, one of the more popular items at the show. They're going to be at the show this year, which is kind of a big deal with new ownership. And so I know a lot of guys are going to have a lot of questions for them there. And that's probably going to be the most pulled on rod and blank. So they're also going to have it available in a complete rod, which we have on the way. They're coming. And one of the big differences, besides the construction of the blank, is that the guides are going to be putting on them are going to be Fuji guides. They've always, on the all glass rods, they've always had the all stainless guides. And now they're going to be putting some Fuji guides on them too, which is going to be a little bit of a change. More of a cosmetic change. It's not really going to change the action at all or nothing like that. But it's going to almost look like a custom rod coming out of Calstar.
All right. Are you feeling a buzz about Calstar? Are you feeling that yet?
For sure. I mean, it's hard to say because, we're not in the part of the year where we're getting a ton of traffic through the store. So, it's kind of hard to measure in a way. I feel it for sure within myself. I'm pretty excited about what's going on.
Yeah.
I think the general vibe, that I've been trying to put out about it has been something, of positivity and just trying to, acknowledge what's going on being kind of a big deal in my opinion. I've been lucky enough to work with a couple different rod companies. I worked with Randy when he was working at Seeker down there in Long Beach. And so, I haven't really worked there in that kind of capacity where I was designing rods or, I wasn't at that level. I was just delivering rods for them, but I was around it long enough. And I'm just kind of a fan of rods. So I feel like I've followed the local kind of later history, So I wasn't around with the construction of like Roddies and True Lines and things like that. Although I fished them growing up a little bit, I wasn't connected in that way. I wasn't connected until later on. And so I feel like I've just been really, in love with, West Coast rods for so long now that maybe for me, the biggest thing is that Calstar, in my opinion, a couple of years ago, we were kind of looking at it more as kind of, when is it going to go away? I mean, that's kind of the way we felt, is we didn't really see a solution, coming, that was going to move the direction that they were headed towards. And so this change of ownership is definitely that, and it's something that, I feel lucky, to be kind of around in a time in which we're not losing another brand, and I think that growing up like that, I feel like we're lucky to have a brand, and they're going to stay local. They're going to still be here in Gardena, which is kind of another big deal. There was a chance that they could have been sold off to some company, and we would have never
gone to the East Coast or something,
gone somewhere else or overseas or who knows, right? There's lots of different places. Not to say that they wouldn't have made it better, but being that it's close, I feel like we're going to be able to keep and hold on to something that could have gone away.
Yeah, for sure. All right, good stuff. Rob S. says, is the T-Bird for sale? I heard that it is.
Yeah, I see an ad for it. Yeah.
Somebody called me and said it's like, I forget what, it's like on eBay. I go, eBay?
Yeah,
it was somewhere, but T-Bird's for sale.
Yeah.
Yep, T-Bird's for sale. Dansky, hi everyone. Is there another raffle going on? Yes, there is, and you can purchase tickets with that information right there. Over $1,500 of raffles going on. What was that? $5 a ticket. $5 a ticket, and I got this now, Sam. 5 tickets for $20.
Yeah.
Did I get it?
Yep.
Woohoo! What do you think about that? Pretty good? All right. Chris Navarro helping us out, saying the QR code is in the middle of the screen. Grandpa Phil and Sam I am. Where's Chris? We haven't seen him down here for a while.
Not sure.
I love Chris.
I'm coming.
Yeah, sweetheart.
I'm going.
We got to get Chris down here one of these days. Michael Krinkovich, the cranker. Thanks, Sam, for being Phil's sidekick. Much better job for Sam on interpreting the chat. That's true. I agree. Scott Buchert. Hi, Sam and PUTO Adventure.
Jeez.
Is this the same Scott Buchert? I wonder, Sam. Is this the same guy that last week said he was desperate, he needed $100, and he didn't know where to turn, and so I immediately sent it to him? And then, is this the same guy that told me, oh, we don't have an agreement in writing, I don't have to pay you back? Is this the same guy, and all the guys that are listening in the industry thinking about hiring Scott? You really want to hire a welcher like that? You're going to screw with me, Scott, after that?
Maybe it was
going right back at him, man.
Maybe it was a spell check thing.
Chuck Myers. Don't hire this moron, let me tell you. All right, Scott, you opened a can of worms you shouldn't have answered. Michael Krinkovich. The PCS show sounds like a must-see TV deal, even if Phil is strolling around. Yeah, 100%, man. I'll be strolling around Sam's booth. I ran into all kinds of great people there. Zach S., if Scott apologizes, I might go easier on him, but who knows. Hey, Phil, hoping to put a hurt to the rockfish this season. Got any recommendations for electric reels that won't break the budget? Zach is obviously a first-timer to the show because that question should be directed to Sam De La Torre. Zach, great question. Thank you. Sam.
So, those reels, I mean, they start at around $600. That's kind of where you're at on that. I know that there's some off-brand stuff and some kind of gray market stuff that you can find online. That's a little bit less, but you're going to be looking into the 300 to 500 size as far as the sizing. So if you want to do a search and find, maybe find something from overseas, there is some kind of off-market stuff and that you may be able to find. But the ones that are distributed through U.S. distributors in the U.S. start out at about $600, and that's going to be the Daiwa Tanacom 500. So that's going to be the smallest one, and I believe that one's $600. So I'm not sure if that breaks the bank or not, or breaks the budget, but that's a starting point for like a U.S. distributed one. I know that Doug bought one of those Piscifun reels.
Doug Tilk?
Yeah, and I'm sure that does okay. I'm sure it's maybe not as good as the Daiwa, but I know several guys that have had it. So sometimes you kind of do get what you pay for, type of thing. Especially with a reel that's electric reel, you may find that that's something that may not be easily fixed either if there is something that goes wrong with it. So From what I know, these Tanacoms have done really well, and if you buy it from a local distributor or a retailer, at least you have a warranty of some sort.
Yes, for sure. Robert Graber's another guy that he fishes with the Piss and Sun Fun reel and has good things to say about it all the time. But he says, good evening, Phil, Sam, welcome back, Mackie, and the Friedman Adventures family. Happy Tackle Shop Confessions. And Robert Graber's grandson made his debut on the morning briefing the other day. Casting out in front of the house, little 3-year-old kid.
Oh, that's cool.
Did you watch any of the surf fishing stuff?
I did. I watched a little bit of it, but
Lucky's a great guy.
Okay.
Did you see that part? Mm-mm. He's a young man who literally, like, his dad said, "Do you want to hear the morning briefing?" He did it better than I did it. He was so good, man. It was such a cool little part of the show yesterday.
That's
so
cool.
Happy to see that. In the boat fishing, Phil, guys going out for the sheephead opener. I'm sure, right, man? That's the one thing. When you close down something, the opener becomes a thing.
Yeah, it does.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, he was asking you if you're going to go fishing for that.
Oh, I don't know if I am. I caught my sheephead last weekend at Catalina Island from the shore. Yeah. I might even do more of that here in the future because that video got thousands of plays and was something that people were really interested in.
I know the guys from Long Beach on the Victory. They're doing like a sheephead,
yeah, they
derby.
Are.
Yeah, similar to what Aaron's doing on the Native Sun with the halibut.
Yep.
And so I actually had guys in already. I guess it's starting this Sunday, or is that what it is, or this weekend?
I think, yeah.
So I think that was kind of a cool deal, and I know that last year they did really good. They got a bunch of prizes and stuff like that, just how Aaron does. And so for you guys that are looking to do that, you guys should check that out.
That's on the Victory?
Yeah, I think it's sold out already the first day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like 50 people or
I'll
something
bet,
like that.
man.
Yeah, so maybe more of a weekday thing.
All right, 100 people plus watching the show. Thank you all so very much. Remember, $1,500 in a giveaway tonight. So there's the information. If you'd like to participate, $5 a ticket. 5 tickets for $20. I almost said for $4. I almost screwed that one up. All right, let's see. We have got Scott Buchert, who says, who wrapped the rods? And that would be Chuck Zimmer from Scott. We'll see what happens with Scott tonight. I'm ready to tee off on him. Chuck Zimmer, Scott, you rat fink. Let's see. Tyler Tanaka. I was talking to Tyler or texting with him earlier today. Always good to see you here. Tyler's in the competition or in the drawing tonight. I hope. Wish you best of luck. He says, good evening, Friedman Adventures family. I can't wait to see you all you scallywags at the PCS show. Whoa, that's great. I'll have to figure out what day you're going so I can make sure we meet up. How's the lobster trips going lately? Not hearing much. I haven't been really talking about them that much. I know the Amigo had a couple of slow ones. Overall, I've seen some of these smaller operators doing pretty well,
Yeah, I mean, I talk mostly to the private boaters, and they seem to be doing pretty good.
Getting limits all the time?
Yeah. I know that a lot of those guys are fishing maybe a little closer, maybe not going to Catalina, but they seem to be doing pretty good.
Yeah, perfect. Are we actually answering Scott's questions tonight or not? What are the rod sizes?
So we got an 8-footer.
Thank you.
A 7.5-footer, and a 6.5-footer, basically. Yeah. So those are the sizes here, Scott. There's a jigging rod that's going to be the shorter one, kind of an all-around rod in this 8-foot rod, and then this other one, the middle one, is kind of more of a heavier, medium-heavy type rod, kind of a rod that would be good for sinker rig fishing for a big tuna.
All right, perfect. Mike Krinkovich, the cranker, says he is feeling a buzz. He's all in on the Calstar phenomenon, or whatever we're going to call it. Bob Looney. Hey, Bob Looney here, interested in the Makaira 15T. My question is, does the free rod match the reel, or are they the same across the board?
Well, a couple things, Bob. I think that at this next show, they are removing the 15T from the promotion, so it'll be a 16 to a 50. As far as I know, that may change again, but the reason being is that they just don't have that many rods. I think they have like 50 of them, which last show at Long Beach, they were gone by Friday afternoon. So one of the things that they're trying to do to try to maybe kind of lengthen the promotion a little bit is to offer it on less reels. So they did remove the 15T, although I will say that the rod was really kind of more something that matched with the bigger reels anyway.
Yeah.
More of a 16 or 20, but even up to the 50. The rod itself is 80 to 130, I believe. I think we have one of them here. And it really didn't match with the 15T, to be honest with you. But what we did at this last show is for guys that bought the 15T, is that we went ahead and switched them out for a little bit lighter rod, a 60 to 100 rated rod that would match better with that 15T. And so in this case, the rod that they were giving away, it was just one rod. And obviously, such a range of reels, from a reel that could be fished as light as, really 40 or 50 pound test, to a rod that you can fish 130 to 200 pound test. You're just not going to have one rod that's going to cover all of that range. And so that's another reason that I think that they cut out the smaller one, that it is on the heavier range. I think the rod is rated, 60 to 130 or 80 to 130 or something like that, 7.5 foot PCH rail rod. And so definitely more leaning towards the heavier side.
And a reminder that next Monday on Tackle Shop Confessions, Sam will have more information on specials that he'll have at the upcoming PCS show. So you're definitely going to want to tune in for that. Joe Ruger, greetings from Taichung. Oh my goodness. Taiwan's tuning in to us tonight. Phil, your pal Terry D. I know Terry really well. I taught with him for 3 years in mainland China. He told me he plans to visit you this fall. He's looking forward to the adventure with you. Man, that would be great to see. Terry's from England. He's a really great teacher. His wife's from Taiwan. He's a super nice guy. And we used to get up and do those 5:30 walks in the snow, believe it or not. He's a really cool guy. So, man, hey, Joe, thank you from Taiwan. All my best. My brother's over there celebrating his birthday still. 2 days after his birthday, he's still going at it. Daniel says hello. He's happy to be here. Tim Knott, does a tuna know if it's biting on a Calstar rod or some cheapy rod with good line?
I don't know. I'd have to ask the tuna. I will say most tuna are caught on Calstar rods, so maybe there is something to it.
Well, I will say that probably not. But once you hook them, you better have some decent equipment, or it's just going to be an exercise in futility, right?
Right. I mean, one of the things too is having the right rod and having the right reel, having the right line, the right hook, all that kind of stuff. Kind of comes with experience. Most guys, after they've been fishing for a while, as with most hobbies, whether you're playing golf or whatever you're doing, you tend to kind of want the better stuff, and you'll kind of quote unquote graduate to it. Is it necessary to accomplish the task? Probably not. If you're good at it, you can probably make do, but you're going to have to be well-rounded as far as your education to what that actually is going to mean. So most guys that go fishing for the first time, if they're going to go fish and they are just searching out the least expensive rod, a lot of times they may get something that's not appropriate. But there is things out there for sure that range. I mean, I think we were talking about some rods here last week, rail rods that are going to be as cheap as like $200 at the show. And some of those will definitely work, but if you're going to be targeting a certain size, and that's really been the issue here lately. I mean, before these big tuna showed up, you can pretty much make do with, a 670 or something like that, a kind of a regular rod rated 20 to 40. You'd catch 99% of what's available out there. Yeah, every once in a while you'd get a big eye, you'd get some tuna that was bigger than the norm. But the average size of a tuna, I think, out of the San Diego fleet, for I would say 25 years, if you average the size, would probably be about 15 pounds or 20 pounds.
Yeah.
And so the necessity for a very specific rod just wasn't there. Once this big tuna showed up, I mean, that's a different deal. When the range of tuna is 80 to 150, 100 to 150, 150 to 200, 250 to 300, that's a kind of a different game. And not to say that Calstar is the only rod company that makes a rod that'll handle that, but they definitely do make rods that do. And to a great degree, Calstar, Seeker, United Composites, the kind of rods that they've developed is really what all these other rods have copied. So yeah, there is some less expensive rods out there, but they're really attempting to kind of copy what they've done at a better price and made overseas. Obviously some things like that are going to be the factors that go into the pricing of a rod as to where it's made as well. So want to keep that in mind as well. But you're right. Yeah, you can definitely catch a fish with a rod that will cost less.
Oh, heck, Tim, I just did. One of the guys that shops there all the time, Cade, or what's his name? Young man.
Yeah.
And I did a thing with him about fishing in wherever it was, the Philippines, I think?
No, he was...
Singapore? Where was it?
I'll think about it in a second, yeah.
Indonesia.
Yeah.
And, he was fishing next to guys catching them on a hand line.
Yeah.
Yellowfin tuna. So, yeah, For sure, Tim.
Can I make a breaking
Yes, of course. Breaking news.
news.
Breaking news. Nobody can hear you.
David Rosenthal.
Yes, David Rosenthal.
Just donated a set of his brand new split ring pliers from Angler R.
Wow. There
you
you
see
are.
that?
Is that another raffle prize?
That is another raffle for tonight.
David Rosenthal is a great man, and he has donated. What did he donate?
A set of split ring pliers. His brand new set of split ring
His
pliers.
brand new split ring pliers are
cool,
part of
those.
tonight's raffle. There's the information. $5
yeah.
for a ticket. $1,500 worth of
Cool.
rods are going out of here tonight. A couple of those tumblers. Are we doing 2 tumblers or 1?
2, yeah.
Two. My
Everything on the
God.
table.
What's the value of the tumblers?
Priceless.
Priceless. I love that guy.
I know one of those is probably more valuable than the other.
Why?
I can't see.
I'm going to see the blue ones better.
Yeah.
Oh, what's it got? Fishing. What?
It's got a beautiful big Z on there.
Ooh, oh, yeah, the green one.
Fishing tackle tumbler.
Yeah, I'm
Thank
not-
you for doing the Notre Dame colors for me with the green, by the
that's
way.
right, that's
Appreciate that, Chuck. Very, very much. All right, yes. What was the question? There was no question.
No.
It was breaking news.
Breaking news.
Breaking
yeah.
news. We're going to have a lot of that next Monday on the sales going on. Sam's going to give you the sales, and then Chuck's going to run in and out with more breaking news. So it's going to be great. Big ups to David Rosenthal, says the cranker.
Yeah.
I'll be getting all of his solid pliers, above all and beyond the Angler R pliers, because it's not how you fish, it's how you look. Go, David, at the PCS show. All right, that sounds really good to me. Man, I'm like totally all hooked up with the guys in Ensenada now. Like up there in Popotla, there's some great guys. They're just like constant dope.
Nice.
It's really good. I got to go down there and meet some of those guys. There's a guy, Cortez Sportfishing out of Popotla. Have you been to Popotla?
No.
You know where it is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've driven by it. Yeah.
And so he does a great job. He had a bluefin here about a month ago, 18 miles from there. So thank you all down there in beautiful Ensenada. I appreciate the great support. And shout out to the Independence crew. They were up in the 22nd Street Landing podcast office raising Cain. And rumors are that we're going to go out one of these nights and go drink coffee together.
Oh, good.
Not going to get crazy. Just go out and have a cup of coffee.
Drinking.
Brian, I know you want to do that. I will honor your wishes. All right, Tyler Tanaka. Sam, I'm assuming that you will be selling at the PCS show. Very good assumption, Tyler. Are you able to take advance orders to hold and to pick up at your booth? That is a very good question, Tyler.
So yeah, I mean, we definitely can. Although, just as a disclaimer, there are some things that we are not going to be able to redeem, as far as like maybe specials that the manufacturer's giving something away. So like for instance, if we have a deal where like one of them, we're giving a special on fluorocarbon, and then Seagar is giving you a fluorocarbon holder. Now there's a limited amount.
Yeah.
So if you buy them ahead of time and we're holding that fluorocarbon there for you at the booth, and you show up Sunday, they may be out of them. So I couldn't really hold that part of it for you at the booth. We can definitely hold anything you would want. And then there's also things that are limited, like some of these mahi reels from Okuma. Some of those are going to go quick too. So it really just depends on what the item is. And there's going to be some items that I'm not going to get until the show. I know Daiwa's delivering some stuff. Calstar's delivering some stuff. Okuma's going to be delivering some stuff there. So the answer is yes, but some things no.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But if there's something that you want, give me a call or send me a message, and I can, I'll let you know right at that moment whether that's a possibility or not.
All right, Tyler, thank you so much. Looking forward to seeing you really soon. Rob S., who was on the Danny Kadota Show, he's on our morning briefing all the time. Rob, thanks for the support. Sam, what are the benefits of these new 3-speed reels?
So, I mean, it's the same benefit that you would get from a 2-speed reel, but it's a further benefit, of the same category, I guess. It's more torque, and really the whole deal with that is that we're taking a reel that used to only make so much drag, or let's just say a size of a reel. Back in the day, these new reels, it was like a Newell or something like that would have been considered a brand new reel because it was lighter and things like that. But they only made so much drag, and so when you were trying to fight a fish, you weren't really winching it in. As far as a big tuna, you had to pump and then kind of wind down, pump and wind down. Well, now with this newer gear, especially with the 2-speed reels, you have so much torque that you can just straight wind, some of the fish. Obviously, if it's a big tuna, you still have to do a little bit of pumping and winding. Well, now with the 3-speed, it gives you an even lower gear in the same reel, gives you even more torque. So the new models in the 3-speed, they're not, the 3-speed isn't a new item. Avid has actually had them for quite a few years now. They brought that feature to the JX and LX. So it's a new feature, or it's a feature that's new to a certain size. And the LX, to me, my opinion, the LX is the one that's going to benefit from it most because of the amount of line capacity it has. The JX being a more narrow reel, not sure if you would really target a fish that's that big with a reel that only holds that much line. Not to say you couldn't do it, but definitely you're going to be walking that line of how much line you're going to need to first stop the fish. So, first you got to stop the fish, then you got to wind them in. If you never stop them, who cares?
Yeah.
At that point, you can't wind him in. He's gone, So the LX giving you a little bit more line capacity is going to just basically put you in a class of bigger fish because you're just going to have more real estate to stop that fish before you got to wind him in. But once you do have to wind him in, that lower gear just gives you that much more torque and makes it easier to wind in. And the reason that kind of becomes an issue is we always talk about small reels and how much they can do, bait casters catching a 100-pound tuna or things like that. And it's possible for sure. The only kind of limitation is, can you hold on for that long? You might be on a fish for 2 hours, 3 hours, because the reel just doesn't have the torque. The reel's going to hold together, but it's just not made to apply that much torque to the system, your line. And so then you're really kind of struggling because of it. Now, the reel wasn't designed to do that in the first place, so it's no fault of the reel. But it does hold up, meaning that it's not going to fall apart in the fight. Well, now with this 3-speed feature in this kind of smaller setup, well, as long as you got enough line, now you stop that fish. Now you can wind them in like if it was a bigger reel. So it further kind of, it makes available the idea of a smaller reel that can handle a bigger fish.
Yeah, and that's so cool nowadays that you can fish those small reels and catch such an enormous fish. It's amazing, right?
I would say that this year there's probably going to be several fish over 150, maybe even over 200 pounds caught on that reel.
That is so cool.
That LX, which is the size of a jig master.
Man, that's cool.
Yeah.
Chris Navarro. Chris says, Pissin' Fun Adventures. Zach S. says, thanks for the info on the electric reel. Sam and Phil, thanks for being here. Zach, really appreciate you. Abe, cool granddaddy, is back. Robert G. turned me on to the Pissin' Fun, and I love it. Leave it to Abe to like Pissin' Fun. He's a little weird. And he has a great-looking son.
Grandson,
pardon me. All right, yes, he does. That young man throwing that lure at the beginning of the show. Red Pill, good evening, gents. Great show as always. Thank you so much. Sam, for a Mac 15, what Seeker or Calstar would you pair it with, preferably 7.5 feet or 8 feet?
So in the Seeker, first thing that comes to mind is going to be the SSR 7660. Pretty nice rod. It's a 7.5-foot rod. Comes with a reel seat. They do make an 8-foot rod that would handle line size wise, but it doesn't come with a reel seat. It's going to be that 6480 heavy or extra heavy. So that might be kind of a limitation. The clamp may or may not fit on that rod. It's a little bit bigger. In the Calstar, 875 XH or 2XH. The XH being more of a 50-pound rod, the 2XH being more of a 60-pound rod. And it'd be the same thing in an 8-foot. They're going to have an 800 XH or 2XH. Same kind of deal if you want like more of a 50-pound rod or a 60-pound rod.
Rocket Dog says, hey guys, it's time for some Monday night confessions.
All right.
Go ahead. Do you want to confess something?
We're doing it right now.
Oh, yeah, right.
This might be a good rod for that 15T right there. So why don't you just get in the raffle and maybe just win it?
I say go for it. $5 for a ticket. You get 5 tickets for $20. Chuck, you're not even proud of me anymore. I'm getting this straight.
He's concentrating on getting that straight.
I know.
Yeah.
He's buried over there. All right, and at the end of the show, we'll raffle this off. I assume we'll go from the lesser items to the best. Chuck will tell me, and then I will
start here. I guess. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right there.
including the split ring pliers from Angler.
And we got split ring pliers too.
Yeah, that's mine is
Right.
still
It'll be
less.
the split ring plier. Then that's where we'll go. Yeah.
You just throw that away.
Yeah.
I love it, man. 115 people watching tonight. Thanks, everybody. Really, really appreciate it. Sam and I love you. Scott Bukert. Oh, Scott's trying to endear himself in the industry here. The Thunderbird has a lot of wood rotting with water in the wood.
I'm sure you could
Or
fix
not
that.
the Thunderbird, the T-Bird.
T-Bird, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure it's got some things to be addressed.
Yeah.
I mean,
I heard the price and I go, oh, that is kind of cheap.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
there's got to be
I
something
think they have
going
it
on.
priced accordingly for sure.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Thank you, Scott. I'm sure the guys on the T-Bird will be looking for you in the parking lot
Yeah.
tonight. Oh, let's see here. Where did I go now? Won't they?
I would.
Yeah, really. Yeah, Scott, you're making all kinds of friends tonight. I'm bearing down on you too.
Yeah.
Salty Rod 365. Hey, Phil, what's the fishing trip you're looking forward to the most this coming year? Got to be our 8-day trip
Yeah.
on the Independence. Part of it is goofing off with the guys here recently. I love the crew on the Independence. We had such a spectacular trip. Sam will tell you that doesn't happen, what happened to us on that 8-day
Yeah,
trip,
yeah.
every single
It's
trip.
not regular for sure.
It's still really good. And what we're referring to is big bluefin, lots of yellowfin, tremendous
yellowtail.
yellowtail
Yeah.
fishing. It was just
Good weather.
a trifecta, beautiful weather.
Yeah.
You know, all the kind of things that I'm not known for. It all
Yes,
came together
yeah.
this
You were
year.
saving it for that trip for sure.
So it was fantastic. It would probably be that 8-day. I am looking forward to the 5-day trip
Man,
in
that's the
April.
one I'd be looking forward to right there.
Yeah, because, well, I mean, part of it is last year we had windy, rough trip.
Yeah.
But this year with that fish at 300 miles and the info coming in is it's
Yeah.
still there.
Yeah.
Paul Strasser told me that bluefin's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And on the Pacific Voyager over the weekend, they were running on huge schools of bluefin off San Martin.
Yeah. It's
140 miles down. And so Max didn't get it to bite, but he said
It's going to bite.
he was like doing real time with me, so I'm just like on the edge of my seat waiting. He's going,
Yeah.
running on another big school. Hang on. Oh man, no reaction, you know. And I'm like, and then he goes, I got another one. And I was just like, wait, because I wanted to break the news, but you know, it turns out.
I used to do an 8-day trip around that time every year on
Yeah.
the Royal Star. And one of the things that was cool about it, you know, back then we would catch some nice yellowfin down at the rocks and some good yellowtail and things like that. No wahoo that early, but I always felt like, you know, those trips were so good and we always caught a lot of fish, but I almost felt the rest of the year I can cruise, you know?
Yeah.
So a guy going on a trip like that, a 5-day, like the one that you have set up like that, I mean, you know, it's going to intersect that fish for sure.
Yep.
And you get a nice tuna or a couple nice tuna on a trip like that, you're not that you're set for the year, but pressure's off, you know?
Yeah.
Like you've already got a couple nice ones
It's
in
early in the
bag.
season, and
Yeah, the rest of the year you can kind of cruise. I mean, so to me, I feel like that'd be the trip I'd be looking forward to.
yeah, I'm
for
with you.
sure.
I'm with you. IndependentSportfishing.com. That's in late April this year. We were early April last year. I think during my son's birthday, Philip, he was out there. So if you'd like to join us, there's still plenty of room on that trip. And Sam's right. That should be a really, really excellent trip. All right. Scott is back again. The T-Bird has a lot of wood rotting.
Maybe he's trying to get all the potential
Scott's trying to get a
viruses out
job
of the way.
on me.
Yeah.
With the guys on the T-Bird. Yeah, good. Scott, you're really batting 1,000 tonight. All right. Hey, Phil. Oh, no. I repeated that. Well, good. I'm glad. Good evening, gentlemen, says Isaac, who's a great Friedman Adventures family member. Full Moon Fishing. Sam, any chance you have I can do this, SSR 8030-H in stock?
I think we have one or two for sure. I know we were going to be probably getting a few more this week, but yeah, we do got them. That's a really nice rod. In fact, I think that's a rod that they kind of need to expand on, maybe like an 8040 and 8050. That SSR series is kind of set up the way that they build it. It's a super high quality blank, good quality components, but they've backed off on the handle as far as just the materials. Still great durability, but they're using materials that are just a little bit, you know, kind of less expensive to build. And also the wrap, it's a little more basic. Pretty much black on black with a little red trim. And so that cuts back on the labor of putting it together. So it's a rod that comes in at a really, really good price. But right now in the 8-foot length, they only have a 30 pound. In the 7.5 foot length, they have a 40, 50, and a 60 pound, I believe. And maybe even a 30 pound too. But I think for sure 40, 50, and a 60. But that 80-30 might be maybe hopefully adding a couple of similar rods to it in the future.
All right, good stuff. Current Jam, back again. Love you, man. Sam, what knots are your go-to for jigs? The chain knot seems silly, but my daughter beat me at the knots war just using overhand knots while I was using the San Diego Jam.
I mean, I mostly just use a regular clinch knot, to be honest with you. That and the San Diego knot, I use those too, but I just use a regular clinch knot most of the time. I know that chain knot is kind of known for being super strong, and it does kind of look a little silly when you're tying it up, but I know for sure it tests real high.
All right, very good. Chris Navarro wants the tumbler without the Friedman Adventures logo on it. You're not the only one, Chris.
Piling on, yeah.
Yeah, man, I'll tell you. David Rosenthal, thumbs up. Scott Buchert, I'm thinking Scott's in a bottle of something tonight, right?
Well, he asked this question earlier, you didn't answer.
He asked who wrapped the rod. Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought I said Z Custom Rods.
Oh, maybe you did.
You're
yeah.
like sticking up for Scott tonight. You're very nice to Scott.
Maybe he forgot you answered it.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Scott, that would be Chuck Zimmer from Z Custom Rods, also the president of the Redondo Beach Rod and Gun Club, who is in charge of the raffle tonight. We have a great raffle going on, so I wish you the best of luck, Scott. If you took a piece of that $100 I spent you to put in the raffle tonight, you little crook. All right, Chad Christopher. Chad, good to see you, man. Chad sends me, sometimes he'll send me a text that's pretty long. He didn't realize that after 8:30 at night, I look at that, man, and I'm like, I'm just done.
Puts you out.
Yeah, Chad, I'm good at from 4 a.m. until about 6 in the evening. Great guy. Love him. Okay, Phil, Sam, and the Friedman Adventures family. Sam, I was gifted an off-market 5.5 foot, 100 to 120 pound test with roller guides. Would that pair with an Abbott EXW 52 speed, or is that too short of a rod for bluefin tuna night fishing?
Well, nothing's too short. I mean, the length wouldn't bother me as much as not really knowing what rod it is, if it's worth anything, I mean, you hook a 250 pounder, it breaks the rod in half, and there went your whole trip, so without really knowing exactly what you have in your hands, it's hard for me to make a recommendation that, yeah, you're good with that or not. So, I would say without knowing what it is, I'd say no, but it's possible for sure. Also, too, on some of those roller rods, those kind of like lower end roller rods like that, they use a very low end roller. And so if it has like aft-go rollers, you're probably going to be fine. They probably wouldn't put that on a really low end rod, but some of those no brand rollers are really not that good, and even that might be a fail point, If you want to bring it by and show it to me, I might be able to tell you a little bit more about it. But without really having the ability to see it and really check it out, it just would have a hard time recommending it. Because when we're talking about bluefin tuna nighttime fishing, it could be a 50 pounder or a 250 pounder, and you get into something like that. And that's a pretty big reel too, that EXY 50. It's a really big reel. In my opinion, what I would do if you're trying to save a few bucks on a nice rod, there is some other things out there in that $200 to $250 range that I think will get the job done a little bit better.
All right, good stuff. Thank you so much, all of you who are tuning in. In fact, Chris Navarro says 107 people watching, and now 132 people are watching. So great audience tonight. We deeply appreciate it, everybody. Robert Graber is joining us to say thanks, David Rosenthal, for donating the awesome split ring pliers. Already got mine. Robert supports everybody in this industry, and he's also out there when you're doing the sand bass thing or anything like that. He's on the front lines, always working hard at that, so that's good. Rob S. said, all right, you sold me on the 3-speed. I'm getting old.
Yeah, that's another one too, man. I mean, it's just easier to wind in a big fish. I mean, so definitely I would say if you're looking to challenge yourself, go less and less speed. You might even go to a single speed and really, really enjoy the challenge if that's what you're after. Or if you just want to bring them in and not have to deal with all that, get more speeds.
Chuck Zimmer says he's got one, so there you go, man. 3 speeds. Anytime I opine on like something like a 3-speed reel or something like that, I just parrot what you say.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, Tangle Diver says good evening. Good evening. Thank you for being here. ETA on the raffle, I'm going to say 7:45-ish. If you want a ticket, I would do it now before it gets too late into the show. I don't know how many more questions we have, but probably a lot. And we're only, an hour and a half into the show? No, not even an hour.
Not even an hour.
Oh, man, we're flying along here. All right, Glenn Del Mando. Glenn, I don't know if you noticed, but I used your tackle tip the other day on the morning briefing. Really good stuff. Just jumped on board. Hello, Sam and Phil. Can't wait to see you all next week at the PCS show. Wicked Tackle Box will also debut. Looking forward to seeing everyone. Hey, you can see Glenn. We did a short little podcast with him about Wicked Tackle Box. Glenn's a great guy. Really
Super cool
nice guy.
Yeah. Really nice guy.
So, yeah, he'll be there, and you should drop by and see him. Chris Navarro, did SoCal Wings close? No, right?
No, so I talked to them, and they said that when Chris comes back, that they'll open it up on Monday. So they're only closed Mondays. They were only open because Chris was here. As soon as he stopped coming, they're like, we're just going to wait till he comes back.
Wow, Chris, you got to come back.
Quite
Sam
an
and I are
impact.
dying.
Quite an impact that he had on those guys.
That is the night I go off my carnivore diet.
Yeah.
Because there's sauce on those wings, and I'm not supposed to do that, but
For
damn
Chris,
it,
you'll do it.
I'll do it for Chris.
Yeah.
I'll do it for SoCal Wings. We already sent an envoy down there to check and see, and it's still closed, right?
There was a big honor to, when Chris comes back, we'll be open.
Chris Navarro, man.
Right on the note.
Do you realize how much power you have, Chris? Come on. Cool granddaddy, that is Abe. I like that 3-speed, Sam. I think it'll help me and Mackie with those average size fish. Can't wait to go out with Mackie again. Won't be long, Abe. It's going to be a lot of fun. Gabriel de la Trinidad says, good evening, caballeros. Last year went fishing 5 times to Catalina Island. Do you recommend replacing the braid on my reel? Sam?
No, not based on that alone. If you had a back tangle, or if you knew that there was one time where maybe, you got rubbed on the boat real hard or something like that, that might be a reason. But fishing alone wouldn't cause enough stress to the line, just based on that. If you have any concerns, one of the things you could do is get the line flipped over. We could do that for you here. It's something that we offer. We actually do it all the time. And what I mean by that is you're only really using the top 100 yards of your braid most of the time. So that you probably have at least 300 yards of line on your reel. So we could basically take that line off, flip it around, and put it back on your reel, so that the fresh line, which is the line on the bottom, is what you're going to be fishing at the top. And so that'll extend the life of your line. But even at that, I would think 5 times, no problem. I probably would fish 50 times before I think about changing my line, to be honest with you.
Kind of like rotating your tires, huh?
Yeah, you could. Yeah.
In a way, right?
In a way, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, except you're getting brand new. You'd be like retreading your tires almost. It's all brand new on the bottom.
That's true.
Yeah.
So do you recommend a person does that on their own, or comes in here and has you? It's got to be a pain in the neck to do it on your own.
Well, not so much that. The biggest deal is you want to have a good amount of tension when you're putting it back on. And there's ways to do it at home for sure. One of the ways that you could do it, you take an old 4.0 or something like that, and you wind it off of that reel.
Yeah.
And then you wind that onto another reel, and then back onto your original reel. So, if you just want something to do on a weekend day, it's definitely doable, but it's going to require 2 other reels, because if you just wind it off and put it back on, well, the top's going to be on right back. So you have to wind it off once, switch it to another reel, I mean, wind it off to another reel, where now that the top is going to be at the top of that reel.
Yeah.
And then when you wind it back onto your original reel, that'll be at the bottom. And so that's going to be the way to do it. And the reason I say use a reel is that you can put the drag on, basically, and you're using the drag of that donor reel to apply tension. But yeah, I mean, it is kind of a little bit of a pain, but it's doable. I mean, if you get an hour to do it, it's definitely, you can do it on your own. But if you just want to come down here and drop them off, especially if you have a whole bunch of them, you can drop them off, pick them up in a couple hours.
Beautiful, yeah. What's that cost?
We generally about $10 a reel, unless it's a really big reel or something like that. It's going to take a while.
Yeah.
But generally about $10
worth
a reel.
it.
Yeah, for sure. Instead
Totally
of buying,
worth it.
$60 worth of line.
Yeah. Rob S. Phil, appreciate the support for the first responders. My pleasure, Rob. As a matter of fact, speaking of that, Officer Dang, who shops here a lot, he called me today and said I wanted to talk about doing some stuff for the first responders. So I met with him today at 22nd Street. We got a lot of great stuff that we're working on. We brainstormed together, came up with a lot of ideas, including like officers in their uniforms helping kids fishing, maybe at the lake over there by El Camino College.
Alondra.
Yeah, Alondra.
Yeah.
Like that. Stuff
awesome.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's
that
cool.
so that, we bridge that with kids and police officers so
Yeah.
they know they're good guys and everything. So, hey, my pleasure. No
cool.
question about it. Chris Navarro comes up with $10. Man, where are we going to spend it tonight? Are we going to eat anything, Chuck?
Maybe one of these guys got to order something. Maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Need to order some wings.
Yeah.
Wingies, man. Sam, I am. Did you get my text for what I'd ordered?
I did, Chris. On the blank, I was expecting to go this past week, and I didn't make it down to Seeker. I kind of have to go there this week because this is our last week before we go to the show, so I'll probably pick it up at that time. On the handle, I think it's still back ordered, but I'll have to check on that tomorrow when I get a chance, Chris. But yeah, I got them both ordered. I just got to pick one up and wait for the other one to come off a back order.
Chris, thank you so much for the super chat, $10. Really, really appreciate it. Daniel, Phil, do you know how much they're selling the Freedom for? I don't
know.
The Freedom's up for sale?
I
heard that too, but
some of that. Yeah, I would just call down to the landing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they'll put you in contact with the people who.
They're doing a ton of work down there on the boat, so they're getting her all shaped up.
Maybe they've decided not to sell it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure about that. Isaac wants to know what my albacore prediction is. You want me to do it right now?
Do it right now.
100% albacore swimming up the LA River this year. It's going to be so good. There's some guys that fish up the river there with bobbers. The albacore are going to be biting those this year.
The bobbers?
Yeah. Bobber and feather, man. Let's see. I usually do that in April. Not that it matters. I'm wrong every single year. Might as well start doing it in January.
Maybe that'll be.
Because maybe it'll change.
Yeah.
I keep telling everybody.
They're going to bite this year.
The minute I say
they're
not going to bite, they're going to bite. So I'm tempted to say they're not going to bite.
They're going to bite.
They are going to bite?
Yeah, say that they're not going to bite, but I'm going to say they're going to bite this year.
Damn, there's Sam's albacore prediction, man. This guy's been doing this for a long time.
I could feel it. I don't know why.
There's that gut feeling really, man.
Yep.
We got a ton of comments. 125 people watching.
Wowzers.
Thank you all so very much. It might be more like an 8 o'clock drawing time. We doing okay over there? Still going crazy over there. All right. Mario Mason says, hey, Phil and Sam, nice seeing you today. Phil, can't wait for the show, but even more, can't wait to go fishing in April. Mario, I'm with you. It was great seeing you, my friend, and that would be great to see you again really soon. Thank you so much. The Cranker, I'm ready to go out for coffee with you and Brian and the crew. Let's go, baby. Mike Krinkovich is coming with us, it sounds like.
Down for the coffee.
Man, I don't know. Chuck Zimmer even threatened that he might go. So we're going out and just hit that Vietnamese, really strong coffee.
Yes, it's strong.
Yeah. It's so freaking, it really is. You take one sip and I go like, whoa, hey, man, I feel much better now. It really does. Robert Graber says, hit that like button, and I couldn't agree more. So you don't realize, folks, that when you don't hit the like button, Sam and I break into tears at the end of the show. So please.
More likes, more wings.
More wings. That will help to take away the grief and the sadness for sure. Anybody wants to send wings down here tonight, we're willing and accepting. Remember we used to get all that?
Yeah, every time we'd get something.
But we started going out to dinner and telling everybody, so I
Yeah.
think that stopped. So, yeah. We gotta get Scott Bucher to send us something tonight. Probably be poisoned after I've raked him over the coals. Chris Navarro, Sam I Am, our 8-day Royal Star trip were great memories. Awesome fishing trips.
They were, yeah, those are the ones we were talking about. In fact, me and Chris, he was with me the first time I was on that boat, and that was the first trip that we went on, and I've been fishing on that boat ever since. So yeah, pretty awesome.
I know. You get on a boat and it's hard to go somewhere else.
It is.
You feel a loyalty and you like it.
They don't do anything to make you look anywhere else, for sure.
100%.
Yeah, they're really good.
SoCal Fisherman, late to the chat. Can you give us the raffle details in short summary again? Yeah, Sam, what do we have? What rods do we have?
So we got 3 rods here. We got one from Darren, 310 Rod Works. This is one of his TTR 6480s. This is the light. So this is the lightest of the series. A really nice rod, actually. For you guys that haven't seen those, and if you haven't seen them, this is, $400 or something like that or more. So this is a really, really cool rod. Going to be the light, kind of a 20, 25 pound rod. He's got a kind of more of a heavier rod. This is a CP 76H 70 extra heavy 7-foot rod, custom wrapped by the Z-Man himself right there. There's beautiful dragon scale
The
there.
Z-Man. right. Ooh, I like it.
A 6404, 64. Oh no, Zeus 4. So this is a Zeus 4 jigging rod. Also a really nice dragon scale, green dragon scale, kind of that. This is that Fuji thread, huh? That multicolor stuff.
I bought it here, actually.
Man, that stuff's really nice. So this is a super nice rod. So these are kind of like the highlight items. We got a couple of nice custom tumblers right here. We have a Nomad knife jig. And then also Mr. Rosenthal, he is donating a pair of his brand new split ring pliers.
I
So,
don't even think they're out yet.
so that's kind of I'm assuming kind of a debut for the shows.
Yeah.
The PCS show coming up next week, and so he's going to give one of those away as part of the same raffle.
$5 a ticket. 5 tickets for $20. He's looking, and there's the info right there.
There's the info right there. So
Yeah.
just send him the amount, and then also if you have kind of like a nickname as far as your Venmo, just make sure you put in your name there, and let him know that it's for the tickets for the raffle.
All right, thank you so much, everybody. Rob S., I really want to go on the Independence Perfect for my birthday day. We would love to have you, Rob. It's going to be a great trip. And, well, here's Mike Krinkovich saying the Indy 5-day is sort of a stone-cold lock. Even if nothing is biting, it's all about Ed and Chuck in the galley, wink, wink. Yeah, prime rib and so many great meals. It's so good. Let's get this show on the road, says the Cranker. And, yeah, it's a great trip. I can't wait for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Chris Navarro, the QR code. Okay, yeah, there we've got that all. Bob Looney, I ordered a few Island T-shirts a couple of weeks ago. 100% understand that you guys have been busy. When you get a chance, please shoot them out my way.
So sorry about that, Bob. You know, the other problem, too, is that I was out of those sizes, but I ordered some more, so I do have them coming in. But, yeah, we have been crazy busy. But even besides that, once we cleared out the area where the shirts were, I went to go look for them, and, man, we're out of those sizes. So, but I already ordered some more. We should have them coming in, and I hope to get them real soon, and I'll get that order out to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Bob. Simple Jack Enduro. Hey, all. FNG here, looking to get more into long-range fishing this coming season. Can you guys explain to why I do or do not need an 80-pound setup?
No, depends on how long the long-range fishing is going to be, but anything that's going to be targeting fish, over 100 pounds, I think that there's definitely at times.
Heck, that can be a day and a half trip.
Well,
now.
It can be, but it also could be a coastal trip and maybe time of year type of thing.
Right.
So if you're leaving right now, I mean, it's still kind of a possibility, but normally it isn't this time of year.
Yeah.
But an 80-pound setup, so it's going to be most likely going to be for like a sinker rig type thing, daytime fishing. When you would need that, you might also use it for like a dropper loop rig for the yellowtail. So it is kind of like something that you would use a lot. A lot of times, when we looked at those kinds of trips before this big tuna was around, it was kind of a size you could skip because you would go maybe 30, 40, 50, and then 60 maybe, and then you would kind of skip to 100. You really didn't use a whole lot of 50 and 60 pound unless you were going to Guadalupe or something like that. You would use some 50 or 60 pound at times. But even there, pretty regularly you would go there. They wouldn't bite anything heavier than 40. And so 40, 50 pound was kind of your main sizes, 30, 40, 50. And then you would skip almost to 100 for some like dropper loop yellowtail or trolling or something like that. But nowadays with this tuna, in fact, last year I'm sure you guys had the same thing on that bluefin down below the same area that they're seeing it right now. A big majority of the fish were caught in the day, and a lot of them were caught on a sinker rig in the day with 80-pound tests. So right now, I think that if you're planning any kind of long-range fishing, pretty much starting from now until November, an 80-pound setup is definitely in the cards.
How good was that bite?
It was really good, yeah.
Wasn't it incredible?
I mean, it's as good a daytime fishing for big tuna as I've ever seen, I mean, and talking fish over 100 pounds. I've caught quite a few fish at Guadalupe at that, call it 80 to 120 size, which was about the size of fish we were catching here, but there were some 200-pounders mixed in,
There were.
And I got a 180, but there was quite a few fish over 2, and so that was pretty incredible, and all daytime.
I don't think we saw you guys. You guys were like,
we were a day away,
Yeah, a day away, but.
Yeah, I think when we got there, because you guys left a couple of days after us.
Yeah.
By the time you guys got there, we were already on the way out. In fact, that same night that you guys were getting there, I think we had left that morning.
Going to the rocks or something,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
wherever
yeah.
you guys were going. Yeah.
So, and then when we came back, you guys were off of that already too, because we caught it on the way back too.
Yeah. Phenomenal, man.
Yeah.
Just phenomenal fishing. Jolene Thompson. Hey, Phil, I'm looking forward to fishing on a few of your charters this spring. We love Jolene she, in fact, was on our 8-day trip. That was great having her on there. 4 of us lady anglers are going on the Island Spirit charter out of Ventura, April 4th. Watch out, boys.
Awesome.
They fish hard. Jolene, we love you. You must be back from Puerto Vallarta. I know you went down there. I hope you had a wonderful trip. You deserve it. And looking forward to seeing you maybe before the April trip, but for sure on that trip. Raul Orozco. Hey, Raul, hope you're doing good. Remind Chuck to pick up my trout blank that he promised to wrap. Oh, yeah.
Tell him he's got to bend on a couple to make sure he wants the right one.
You got to bend on a couple to make sure that he gets the right one. Come down to Sam's shop, pick a blank out, and then he'll take care of it before you know what's going on. All right, Raul, thank you so much. Hector X, hit that like button for the best show on YouTube. Thank you, Phil and Sam. Hector, thank you so much. Man, that's pretty nice of him.
That's it, Hector.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Red Pill, thanks for the recommendation, Sam. Sam, how does the 800 XXH, XXH, Calstar compare to the Seeker TAC 80 Heavy?
So that Calstar is going to be a little bit larger diameter, but giving it a little bit more backbone, a little stouter, especially if you're going to be kind of using it as a rod that's going to be laying on the rail, especially in that bigger line. That 80H is a little more parabolic. Some guys like that on that rod. It's a little easier to pull on, but also not as stout, I guess, as the 800 XXH.
All right, Brian Henley, who's up in Washington. Great guy. Came out on our 8-day trip. In fact, bought tackle from you, which I lost.
Ah, that's right.
Remember?
Right.
I thought I'd lost it, and then I found it. I swear to God. So we were offloading a bunch of stuff from Mexico the other day.
Yeah.
And his stuff was in there. No, it was in there. I go, oh no, here it goes again. We gave it. No, but I found it. So I've got it. I told him today, I got to ship it to you, man, before I lose this stuff. He said, just bring it next year. So, Brian, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining us tonight. He's building a new house, I think, and progressing along really well with that. Good evening, Phil and Sam. What's your opinion of the Okuma PCH rods?
They're great. I haven't had really any comeback broken or nothing like that. I know guys have caught big fish. On our 11-day, Okuma gave me one of those rods to give away. Actually, they gave me 2, but one of those rods that I gave away of the 2, guy got like a 240 on it daytime fishing. So, that's a pretty big one. That's a pretty big fish. And, those daytime fish were pulling, in my opinion, a little harder than that nighttime stuff that we're used to. And so it was a legit big fish. So to me, it did great. It's definitely not the same thing as a Calstar. It didn't have the same pulling power, same recoil as one of those super heavy Calstars. But for catching a 240, I think you're in pretty good hands.
All right, and Brian says whatever he wins in the raffle tonight can be tacked onto Sam's tackle pack. I can just mail it. I'll give it to you, Chuck.
Yeah.
I should give it to you right now. It's out my car. I know, you're off doing something else. That was too much, man. I was like getting him all kinds of other gear, and he was such a nice guy.
Yeah.
So I was up there. I drove back from San Diego to go through the 22nd Street office, and Strasser and Paisano were there, and they're like, what are you doing? I go, God darn it, I'm missing. They're having a business meeting. I'm like throwing stuff, looking all over. So we'll get that taken care of. Matthew Martin, hi, Phil and Sam. Matthew, welcome to Tackle Shop Confessions. Sam, when pairing a Talica 20 to a Seeker SSR or Super Seeker for live bait, what model would you suggest? And he says, thank you. Thank you, Matthew, for participating.
So the SSR, be looking at that. I think they have one that's called a 2x3. In the Super Seeker, I'd be looking at a 1x3. Those would be the 2 that I'd be looking at.
All right, very good. Hector X is back. Hector, it's great to see you, my friend Sam. I'm planning my first 2-day trip this year. Way to go, Hector. This is 30-pound, 50-pound, and 100-pound setups enough, or should I consider renting a setup?
I think you're pretty good on the heavy side. I mean, depending on when you go and what's going on, I definitely would recommend maybe also bring in a 20 or 25-pound setup. There were times last year, actually every year, where that bluefin is kind of on smaller line and smaller hooks. It's more school-sized fish. We kind of always thinking about trying to catch the big 100-pounders and stuff like that, but sometimes you get out there and they're 25-pounders, and so I would, what you got there, I think you're doing pretty good. I personally would still kind of add an 80-pound setup, especially for that daytime sinker rig fishing. The 100-pound is going to be great for fishing at night if you guys do any of that kind of stuff. And it might even be something you would use in the daytime as well, but I would consider bringing a 60 or 80 pounder. If it was me, I would bring a 60 and an 80 pound. Now, depending on that 100-pound setup that you have, if it's straight braid right to a small leader, you may be able to kind of make that adjustment there and just change your leader size and cover those smaller sizes that way too.
Thank you very much, Hector. Great question. Chris Navarro says, thank you, Sam.
You're welcome.
Yes, that's exactly what my answer would have been. Glenn Del Mendo. Hey, Sam, I noticed Shimano came out with the newer Italica reels with power handles. Other than the newer handle, did they change any internal parts that make it better than the original models?
They actually did, and more so in the larger sizes, the 20 and 25 size. They changed the gearing, which is the biggest deal. They made it so that just like we were talking about the 3-speed, you get a low gear, giving you more torque. The other thing that they changed as well was that they changed the way that the bearing setup is on the inside. So when you do ramp it up to a heavy drag setting, it's a little bit smoother to turn the handle. They also, I think they added a dual drag system, giving it a smoother drag at a higher drag setting. And they also changed the body, whereas before the right side, the handle side, was slightly larger than the left side, which I didn't mind too much, but I know some people kind of felt like it looked a little funny. They equalized it. They actually brought the size down on the handle side, making the whole reel kind of a little bit lighter and just feel a little smaller when it's on the rod. So they did make a few more changes than just the handle. The handle is the most visible change from the outside, but I think even the handle is kind of a cool upgrade as well.
I like our Michael Limon stand-in for the night. She's great.
It's doing pretty good.
I'm loving it, man. All right, Tony Gonzalez. Oh, thank you, Sam. There goes all the heavy gear. Now I have to buy light tackle for those albies. Yeah. All right, perfect. What are the rod size? Did we do that already?
We did that. Maybe he just retyped it on accident. Yeah.
Do you want to answer it again or no?
No.
Oh, you've had it, right?
No. I just think guys know what's going on.
I think so. Yeah. Thank you, Scott. Great question. DJ B. I love this guy, DJ B, man. He will attest to what kind of a bartender I am, because I was a bartender on the Independence for this trip.
Okay.
Scott brought tequila and margarita mix, and
mixed it up, huh?
I would take care of my friend DJ B, and he said, "Wow, now I understand why they hired you at the Orange County Fair." Heavy hand, yeah. No, Phil broke down and signed up for the April Indy trip.
There you go.
Scott, you better supply a margarita bar whether you're on the trip or not. Hopefully this is the year for an epic trip. I'm telling you it's going to be. I'll bring some margarita fixins this year if you're mixing.
There you go.
Man, I anticipated that. Didn't even read it. DJB, you got it, man. I'd be happy to do that. Jolene is back again. We love Jolene. Hi, Sam. What's your take on the La Nina, I think, this summer compared to last year? And can you share a halibut tip? I'm going on the native sun in a month.
Well, it's hard to say. We haven't really kind of had this year's going on. I mean, last year, I think, was it considered an El Nino or?
No, it never kind of stayed almost, like neutral, a little bit La Nina. And this year so far is neutral and
pretty neutral.
I
think the biggest kind of, if you want to look at it, conditions out there is the bait. More anchovy, a lot more anchovy this year than there has been in a long, long time. And so I think that's going to change our fishing a little bit. Maybe some of the areas are going to be a little bit better. Maybe we'll see that sand bass that we've been missing.
Man.
In barracuda and stuff like that. And so I think that's going to be the biggest difference. We're going to see, I think, that big tuna that's down by San Martin, like you're talking, is going to slide up. And I believe it's going to be on the inside. So we're going to catch a lot of that stuff. Those 3/4-day boats down there that fish that stuff when it kind of comes in our zone, I think they're going to be catching it.
Our friends in Ensenada should get a shot at it.
Those guys are going to go through. I have a feeling that once it gets up kind of past San Martin and kind of getting closer to Ensenada, it might just blow right through that. I think there's so much bait in that San Diego area that it's going to slide in there real quick, at least a portion of it. I mean, it seems like those schools that they're seeing down there are pretty big. So I think a piece of that's going to break off, and you're going to see a lot of it on the inside. On the outside, I think we'll see maybe that albacore kind of slide through, and we might get some of those trips where you're catching full speed albacore in the corner, and all of a sudden the bluefin come through and things like that. So I think we might have some pretty cool trips this year on the summer.
Man, Sam, I like the way you're talking.
For halibut, she had a halibut question too.
A halibut tip.
I think that the way that they're doing it on the boat is that they're trying to keep everybody using a very similar gear. So I would take some lightweight hooks, some like size 1 or size 2, lighter wire J hooks, and then maybe some small trebles. And I think as far as the sinkers, from what I've seen, they're trying to keep everybody like on an 8-ounce sinker to have a very similar drift. So that people aren't getting tangled up. So I think once you get on the boat, that's the kind of things you want to have in your bag, but they're also going to kind of set everybody up in a very similar way so that everybody's drifting parallel and don't get a whole lot of tangles. So I think they'll take care of you pretty good there.
Yeah, and I think Tyler wanted to know, did Jolie mean La Nina or El Nino? I think she meant La Nina.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Hey, I think this is Scott waving the white flag or just trying to be nice. Right in the middle of this, he says, "Hi, Philip."
Hey.
Hi, Scott. Nice to see you, man. I love you, Scott. Be nice now, okay? Mark Bautista vlog. Sup, Phil? Hey, Mark, what's up, man? It's good to see you. Here with us tonight on Tackle Shop Confessions. As always, my friend, I met Mark on the Avalon Pier when we went over to Catalina Island.
Oh, okay.
In fact, he sat right in front of us. And it was weird because we're sitting there, and then all of a sudden I hear this, "Hey, morning briefing." It was Mark and a friend of his, Jerry, and it looked like their wives or one wife. I think somebody had a wife there, Mark, I think. And so, Mark, we'll see you over at Catalina again, man. Thank you so much for checking in. Really appreciate it. Tyler Tanaka, published today. In fact, there are clear La Nina conditions present. Yeah, that sounds true. However, Tyler, this is the time of the year when all those scientists will tell you that you get indications that go like this, and they call it, I forget, there's a name they've actually given it, like I don't know, it's hard to forecast right now.
Yeah.
Until you get a little bit further. It's almost until it happens, then they say, oh, it's an El Nino, or oh, now it's a La Nina. So.
Well, part of it too is that it's a range. You know, it isn't like it's an on and off switch. You know,
Right.
It's a range, and you know, I think for sure maybe a mild La Nina maybe. But, you know, it's so hard to say. So hard to say exactly that part of it. I think the biggest indicator is the bait that we got around us. I think that's really going to shape maybe what we see this year, I hope.
Anchovies. That's why Sam is predicting albacore crawling all over Southern California this year. Who knows? I may agree with him shortly. More than likely, I will. Alex Alcaraz. Alex, thanks for being with us. Hey, guys, sorry for being late. You're forgiven, Alex. I'm not sure if you already answered this, but I would love to know the ins and outs of the 3 new 95J Calstar rods.
Yeah, so we went over it a little bit earlier, but I mean, in general, there's really only 2, you know, meaning that there's a glass and graphite one and one that's all glass. In the glass version, there's 2 different colors, but the rods are the same, just different colors. So we'll kind of separate it that way. In the glass and graphite, it's a lot stiffer, probably closer to it if you're familiar with a BTG 90J, probably similar to that, but in a little bit longer length. The glass one, I think, is the one that I'm kind of most, I don't know, I guess endeared with. It does feel different than the 100J. It almost feels like a mini 540 in a way, but with the power of a 90J. So to me, I feel like it's the nicer of the 3. More because I see it as a really universal jig stick. It's something that I can see fishing barracuda on, big yellowtail, cedros, you know, quite a few different situations. I think, we're always looking, the question I always get in the shop is, okay, I want to buy a rod. What's the best jig stick? And typically what that means is if I can get away with one jig stick, which is the one? And to me, you know, that 95J is probably reaching the highest score, in my opinion, to be able to do that where it does the most in the one package.
All right, I think we are getting very close to our drawing. If you want to get in on this, you want to do it soon because I see an end to the questions. And once we get there, we're going to start this drawing. Tomorrow, don't miss the morning briefing. And you know Bill Boyce, don't you? I'll be talking to Bill live from Tropic Star Lodge
wow.
in Panama tomorrow.
Oh, Panama.
Yeah, he's down in Panama, and they're having a record year on blue and black marlin.
Really?
Yeah. I talked to Bill probably 2 weeks ago in a live hookup, and man, he said it's just incredible fishing right now. What
Must
did
be all
he
the
say?
anchovy they have down there.
Yeah, it is. How'd you know? That's what he said.
Really?
Yeah, no. 6 miles from Tropic Star Lodge,
La
and you're
Nina.
catching all this stuff. Yeah, La Nina, El Nino, whatever it is. Niñas, niños. My wife says I'm a niño. What does that mean?
Yes, you are. Yes.
Yeah. Felipe, tú eres un niño. Sniper Gene. Sam, can you compare the United Composites MCR 950 blank to the 9E and 10E blanks? Thank you.
They're actually pretty similar, to be honest with you. That 9.5 is maybe a tad bit stiffer than the 9E, so I would consider it more of a big fish, big jig style of a jig stick. So, that's probably the biggest difference. But they are very similar as far as just their overall profile in the bend. But the MCR being a little bit stiffer than the others.
All right, very good question. Thank you so much. Salty Rod 365. What's your opinion on GraphTech rail rods?
I try to really kind of look at it in two ways. First is, the overall performance of it, and then also too just the durability. And as far as the durability is concerned, we really don't get those back at all. I mean, I haven't really got any. I think I got one in which the hood of the reel seat kind of came loose, and he replaced that for free, and has nothing to do with the blank or the durability. It was just something that's kind of out of his control in the reel seat. But that was one out of hundreds, really hundreds of those rail rods that we've sold. That was probably the most popular rail rod that was matched with the Fathom 40 2-speed, which was probably the most popular, bluefin tuna reel that we've sold. I'm pretty sure everybody also in California. So I bet you there's more of those GraphTech rail rods matched with that reel for two reasons. One is they have one that's kind of rated 80 to 100 that has been the most popular because it kind of matches that reel as far as just its overall capability. But also, too, it matches the way it looks. I mean, it almost looks like they were made in the same factory. Same color gold trim on both of them. And I think a lot of the landings have used those rods as loaners, or not loaners, but rental rods. And so they get a lot of use there, too. So overall durability, I'd give them a pretty high score. You're never going to beat a Calstar, United Composite Seeker as far as just the overall design of the blank. I think those blanks maybe have a little bit more lifting power. But as far as that class of lower rod, I would put all of those in the same boat. The PCH rod, Shimano has their rail rod in the Torre line. Daiwa has their rods in the Proteus line, rail rods, and they all do really good. Even Penn has one in their Carnage rod. So all those other rods, they're going to vary a little bit in overall maybe bend profile, but I haven't seen any of those come back. So I think you're doing pretty good in that GraphTech as well.
All right, thank you so much for the question. Richard Trujillo. I went to grammar school with a girl, Susan Trujillo.
Could be.
60 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh my God, am I getting old? What reel bags do you recommend? Are you going to have any at the show, Sam? Thank you very much, Richard.
We'll see about that. I know that we are kind of running a little bit short on space. I know we'll have a couple there. And, as far as that, it's just depending on how many reels you want to hold and, and how maybe the size of the reels. There's different sizes, smaller ones for smaller reels and so forth. But, there's a lot of good ones out there. As far as for a bag that holds a lot of bigger reels, I do like the AFTCO. I think right now the larger series is out of stock at the moment. So if you wanted a larger bag, you probably would have to go to the Avid. And also, I think Deckhand Sports has a larger one as well. But they're all pretty good. I mean, I don't really see a big, feature difference that is going to make one do better. They're just holding the reels. But so I would really kind of look at the reels that you wanted to hold and then choose it based on that.
All right, good stuff. Ricardo Ortigosa wants to know how much the raffle is. $5 or 5 tickets for $20. You're running out of time, Ricardo. $1,500 worth of rods and some other great stuff, including that Friedman Adventures tumbler.
Man,
Priceless.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one we're raffling first, right?
Yeah.
We start from the lesser of the stuff.
We didn't want to say zero, so yeah, priceless. Yeah.
0.1.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Where are we here? We're with Brian Henley, I think. No, we're with
Red
Pill. Sam, for a Calstar 800 XXH, which reel would you choose? a Mac 15, a Vizix 12, or a Torque 40. I'm primarily going to fish 60 and 80 pound.
Pretty equal on all three of those. In fact, I have all three of them, and I've used all three of them in that same capacity. So, to me, I feel like it's 6 to 1, half a dozen of the other. You're doing pretty good with either of those three.
All right, very good. Brian Henley is back with us. We love you, Brian. Sam, what's your opinion of the Silver Fathom 60-2 speed for 100 to 130 pound?
Definitely pushing the limits of that reel for 130 pound. For me, in my opinion, once you get to 100 and past that, I kind of start looking at the bigger reels like the Makiras or the Internationals. But I know that Fathom reel, the last 15 years that it's been out has been a true performer, and so I could say you can probably make it work, but it definitely is testing the limits of that reel. And what it's going to come down to in the end is how heavy a drag you like to fish. When you start getting into those larger sizes, the difference between a 25% drag setting and a 33% drag setting might be 15 pounds or 10 pounds or something like that, maybe more like 10 pounds of difference, And so if you're on the heavier side, I probably would opt for a larger reel. But if you're on the lower side, as far as what you like to set your drags at, I think that reel would work. So you're definitely at the limits of its capabilities.
All right, great stuff. Thank you so much for the question. Tyler Tanaka. Phil, just putting this out there. It's all Chovy and the bait receivers. When is the Philbacore prediction coming? I don't know. Sam's putting the pressure on me. But yes, I have been noticing that. Sam referenced it also tonight. Anchovy equal albacore.
I think that's mostly San Diego. I think other landings have a mixed bait.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show those guys down there, they kind of almost always look for sardines for the long range boats.
Yes.
And so for them not to be able to find it locally, it is kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it totally is, because they want to take some Dean down below. All right, Alex Alcaraz. Also, what reel would you set up with the 95J for surface iron yellowtail fishing, economical and best?
Well, the Trinidad 20 is the one I'm going to be fishing on it. And as far as something that's a little bit less expensive, maybe you could look at Daiwa. They have the Seagate 40. Maybe going to be where you going to land as far as something like that. Even like a Sea Line 40 would get the job done. You might find a Jig Master, I guess. You can fish that on there. I wouldn't recommend it. Those newer reels are a lot better in my opinion. But most economical, I guess, would be a Jig Master. You probably find one for $40-50 used somewhere. But the best one is going to be a Trinidad 20. And kind of in that middle, Daiwa has a couple. But a lot of guys have also maybe use a Torium 20. That's going to get you in there around $200 as well.
All right, good stuff. Thank you so much, everybody. Raffle coming up next. Won't be much longer. If you want to get in, move fast. Well over 100 people watching all night long tonight. Really great to have you all with us. Raymond Pacheco. Sam, what are those new Calstar rods you had on Instagram?
So the ones that we were showing there, they are a couple of new jig sticks. They are 9.5 foot. A BT 95J, T95J, and a BTG 95J. But just so you guys know, they're also going to be coming out with a couple more new rods. One in the also in the BTG lineup in the 6470, also in the Graphiter lineup. Even though they've kind of had them out here for a season or so, I know we've been getting them here, but it's going to be officially in their catalog. Going to be the 7400 7.5 foot as well.
All right, very good. Alex Alcaraz says, thanks. Worm King Baits. That is our friend Fish. He says, what's up, Phil and Sam? How's it going? It's going great. Fish, Rob S. Where's the brown bait? Yeah, what's up with the brown bait, man?
I just think a lot of those guys that are catching bait, they're just not fishing in those areas where that stuff kind of gets scooped up in the same net. But there's plenty of that stuff around.
There's got to be, yeah. Great calico bass bait, huh?
Yep.
James Blanchard is a fantastic guy. We saw him down there at our surf fishing event. Well, James, it was great to see you. Hi, Phil and Sam. Do you guys think we're going to catch white sea bass in June and July this year? Another prediction. Yes, definitely.
For sure, yeah.
There's been a lot of squid around. Water will be up over 60. They're going to bite, James. Count on it. Raymond Pacheco says, true line and a newel.
Yeah, that could be a cool way to go. Some of those true lines go for $1,000 though, so I don't know if it's going to be the
cheapest
pricey,
way to go.
Yeah, some of them do.
Richie Rich, whatever happened to C or GC jigs? those were the best for bonito and barracuda.
You know, what I would do is look at maybe buying that new jig book from Scott Manson. I think that company was kind of profiled in there as well. Or if you go down to the PCS show, go to and see Scott and bring that up to him. I'm sure he'll have a story. But that was a jig company that was around. It was kind of a metal jig thing. It was kind of like a cylindrical, kind of long tube looking thing. Not tube, but a bar, I guess. And they were hot. They were a hot jig. I remember using those myself. But a lot of jig companies from that time, kind of came and went.
Yeah, for sure. James is back with us. Yes, I own one of the Graphtec rail rods. I got 4. I never had any problems with those rods.
Yeah, it's a good rod.
Everardo Rojas. Hey, Everardo, how are you, my friend? Thank you for being here. Good evening, Sam and Phil. Can you confirm that Z-Man received my $20 for the raffle?
What's the name?
Everardo Rojas. We're working on that right now, my friend. Hold on, he says.
And Alex, what is he got?
Alex says, just wanted to share the sand. We'll be right back to you. Just wanted to share the sand bass have been biting in the South Bay this past week. Went out on the Spitfire on Saturday and got a nice limit. Hopefully, they will continue to bite.
Yeah, they've been biting.
Right?
Eddie Rojas. That sound right?
We got an Eddie Rojas, Everardo. So if that's you, then we got it for Eddie Rojas.
Yeah, let us know if that's not the case. The sand bass, actually, this guy, Alex, points out they've been biting San Diego, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
They've been biting New Del Mar up there in the bay where he is. It's been pretty good lately.
Anchovy.
Yeah, could very well. Absolutely, man.
biting the anchovy.
Yeah, that's another, because we caught good sand bass during those albacore years.
Yep.
It's all
Full
coming
speed.
together. I love it when a plan comes together, man.
You did plan it, didn't you?
No.
Oh.
But it sounds like a plan's coming together. That would be the big guy upstairs, his plan.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Mark, but I'm never going to make it through this show. I had so much coffee and so much other stuff. I am going to have to go to the bathroom during the middle of the show. I might have to.
We're almost at the end here. We can catch up.
I know, but it could get really embarrassing if I wait too long.
Okay.
And I've done this many times before. I will take my microphone off before I go in there and go, oh my God, people can hear me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chuck's praying I forget that. All right. Mark, let's see. Is that where we are? Yeah. Mark Bautista just bought a ticket. Best of luck to you, man. Hope he's got you. Raymond Pacheco. Why did UC discontinue the Glow 10-foot Del Mar? I got one from their rod wrappers, Dave, older Japanese guys from when they first came out with it.
So it wasn't really a catalog item. They just kind of made it a short run of them. So, discontinue is not really, I guess, the right term. It was just something that they did kind of for fun. They may do it at some time in the future, but it wasn't really a catalog item. It was just a short run that they did in those blanks.
All right, good stuff. Let's see. Steve Bermudez is with us. Can you tell me about the Pinhead series of Seeker series of rods?
So that was kind of an all glass series that was put together back in the Long Beach days, and it was kind of put together for pinheads, meaning that guys that weren't really working full time, they were just kind of on the boat, and something a little bit more affordable. And so they had a whole series of rods, everything down from like a 20-pound rod all the way up to an Alua full jig stick. And so that was kind of the whole idea with that rod. And it was a plain wrap type of thing, and just something a little bit more affordable.
All right, Chris Navarro wants to know, do you have an AFCO 50L bag at the shop? I can come by tomorrow to pick it up.
I don't think I do, Chris. Give me a message in the morning, and I'll go look if we have one back there, but I don't think I do. We might have to wait till the show till we get some more.
Live Free, Die Free says, good evening, Phil and Sam and the Friedman Adventures family. It's great to have you with us. Mark Baptista says, Sam, that small 50-gram from Lucky Craft that I bought from you works good for the bonitos.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, we've got a bunch of those. It's just a little small kind of mega bait style jig, little metal jig. And it kind of, we got them in this section next to the Lucky Craft lures because that's what they are. But a lot of guys have been missing them because we don't have them next to the other metal jigs. But yeah, it's a cool small little metal jig. I think they work real good.
All right, Anthony Amalfitano. I talked to Anthony earlier today. Good to see you, Anthony. Hey, Sam, I might have a chance to buy a used Penn International 2 30SW. Is it much of a step up from my HXW Raptor looking for a dedicated kite trolling setup going on 80 to 130 pound 6.5 rod?
Yeah, definitely a lot bigger reel. It's going to hold definitely some more line, and which is kind of what you need for the kite and some of the trolling too. I would still consider it a little bit small. Those 30SWs, depending on if there's been any work done to it, it may or may not have that much drag. You know, those 30SWs, when they first came out, you know, they were made for like 60-pound line, and so you know, a lot of them only made about 20 pounds of drag. So I would want to maybe kind of look at that part of it first and make sure you got enough drag. When you're fishing the kite, you're typically fishing a lot heavier line, 130-pound line with you know, 400-pound leader, and you have the luxury of pretty much pulling as hard as you can. And so you don't want to limit yourself by having a reel that doesn't produce the right amount of drag for that type of situation. So just kind of check that part of it out. Maybe it's had a cow sheets done, you know, work done to it or something like that. It might increase the drag, but that might be a little bit of a limiting factor. On those older reels, the old Internationals, I typically will recommend going with the 50 for sure, just so that you have the bigger drag.
Salty Rods 365, thanks for all the info on the Graph Tech rods. Our pleasure. Anthony Amalfitano says, I couldn't make it tonight. Really sorry about that. Got stuck at work. Hope to see you guys soon. Likewise, Anthony. Hit 2K. Sam, what's the difference between a Calstar 875 XH versus a 740 heavy 7.5?
Yeah, so the 7400 is a little bit lighter rating, but they're pretty similar. They're both 7.5 foot rods. Both rods that you can probably fish 40 or 50 on. The XH is maybe a tad bit stiffer, but a more parabolic rod. The 7400 series, all of those 7400 series are going to be a little bit larger in the butt, so that it does have a little bit stiffer backbone. But this being that it's the lighter one compared to an XH, this is an H versus an XH, they're actually going to be kind of similar. But you know, it kind of really depends on the kind of rod that you're after. The 7400 being more of a railroad style bend profile with a little bit stiffer backbone through the middle of the rod. I would consider, if you're still shopping, I would consider you getting the XH in the 7400 if you're going to fish 50-pound for bigger fish.
All right, good stuff. Thank you so much, Chris Navarro. The last time I caught an albacore, it was on a Gold Trinidad 14 and a Calstar 196-8. The black and silver series, the only rig I could cast an anchovy with. Great memories, Chris. Pissin' Fun Phil, says Chris Navarro. Willie Kim, please confirm Charles put my name on my tickets by picking my ticket during the raffle. Great show. Good luck, everybody. We're going to try to pick your ticket. You ready to go, Chuck? Are we ready?
We're getting close. Yeah, we're making a food order right now.
Oh, okay. All right. Then we're going to, we're getting close here. Hey, I can run to the restroom. You can entertain everybody while I'm gone for a second. Raymond Pacheco, so I have a used unicorn rod, $5,000. Who wants it? LOL brand,
Yeah.
used 10-foot glow UC Del Mar. And Chris Navarro says raffle, raffle, raffle.
Yeah, it's coming up, guys, here. I guess,
Yeah, it's coming right up. Sam, why don't you tell everybody when you're going to be at the show and give your address here? And
I tried. Get out of here.
I tried to make it.
I did want to show you guys something else that's kind of new. Lucky Craft dropped these off the other day. This is a new lure that they have. Kind of an inshore style thing. It's a lead head and a plastic. But for you guys here, it's one of those things in which you can kind of put them together. It just clips in like this here. And that's in there like that. This has got 2 treble hooks on it. I probably myself would maybe change them out to some single hooks or something like that. But it's something that I think is real unique. It's kind of cool. And then if this gets kind of chewed up, it's going to come up with another tail. And you take it apart basically by just kind of prying it open. Ooh, I should take the treble hooks off here. They keep poking me. But you take it off just like that. It's real easy to take off. And then you just put it right back on. They're going to be debuting it at the at the PCS show. They actually just brought some by here to take to the show, and the guys from Lucky Craft are going to be down there. And I think part of it too is I think if you buy a couple Lucky Crafts, they're going to give you one. They have like a single pack that doesn't have the extra tail, but they also are going to have these here. And it's kind of a interesting name here. It's Noyd, so like Noid, like the what was it, the Domino's pizza guy there. But they have I think 4 or 5 colors. I'll have to go. I think we already put them away, but it's a really cool deal here. This is kind of I guess a style of lure that is really popular in Japan. A couple of different companies are making stuff like this, so they're not the first person to make something like this, but they are importing them now and bringing them to the U.S. and we'll have them at the show.
All right, good. Boy, let me tell you what a difference that makes.
Woo!
Yeah, I was like, hey, Chuck, are you ready for the raffle? Did you hear me? Like, come on, draw the stuff, quick. I'm okay now. Are you ready now, Chuck?
We got one more question, and then we'll go right to it there. So,
Alex, go ahead.
So Alex is asking, what's the best fly line setup for yellowtail? You know, a lot of it's really going to depend on the bait you're using, but a lot of guys got into using longer, lighter rods, those UC rods in that 8.5 to even 10 foot in the XF mag kind of setup was really popular. Also, Rain Shadow has a couple that are really popular, 1087, 1207. So depending on what you're getting into there. As far as the reel, just a smaller reel, something like a Trinidad 12, Torium 14, Saltiga or Saltis 20. And then some guys even using maybe even a bait caster, but definitely on the smaller side, especially for fly lining for yellowtail. A lot of times that really kind of comes into play at the local islands where the fish are getting a little bit more finicky, but that's kind of where I would start.
So the show is a week from Thursday it starts?
Yeah, so
Okay.
this Thursday, 1 week from that is when it's getting started there.
All right, we've got earthquakes, man.
Yeah.
Man, all kinds of craziness going on here. So a week from Thursday, and then it runs through Sunday, obviously.
Yeah, so this next Monday when we do our, oh, there it went. Next Monday when we do the show,
What
it'll
happened?
be our last show before the show.
Okay, very good. Chris Navarro says,
You got to bring it back a little bit.
oh, yeah.
Camera.
Thank you. Avoid the, what is
Avoid
it?
the noise. That was the
Avoid the Noid.
Domino's Pizza little slogan that they had. I don't know if you remember that.
No,
back
I
in the
don't
day,
remember
yeah.
that one. Okay.
From the 90s, yeah.
Missed that on that pop culture. All right, ladies and gentlemen,
All right,
Chuck,
here we go.
are we ready or not?
I got a couple more tickets to write.
All right, Chuck is just processing a couple of tickets. Are you going to run to the bathroom?
No.
Oh, man, I was going to tell you, just go. Don't worry about that microphone, man.
Oh.
All right, we're getting ready, ladies and gentlemen. We want to thank you all very, very much. Tomorrow morning briefing. Also, we'll have a podcast with gentleman Daniel from Real Quick Fishing. He's going to be with us at 12 noon. And then if we can get that all organized with my friend Bill. Boys, I love Bill. He is a fun guy, a very knowledgeable guy, and he's down in the beautiful country of Panama. It's a great country, beautiful place. Have you been to Panama, Sam? I think I've
have
asked
not,
you.
no.
No. It's a great place. Lovely, lovely, lovely. It's Central America has a different feel to it than Mexico. Not better, not just different. It's a different feel, and I love that part of the world.
I also did want to do a little shout out to
Yeah.
my son Diego. So 2 years in a row,
Yeah.
he has won #1 first place for his STEAM. They have like a STEAM fair.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of a STEM fair. or
STEM, yeah, STEM.
Yeah, yeah. So basically
Science.
a science thing here. So he did a project on windmills and presented it in front of his class. And last year he won first place for his project. Did it last year. This year again, first place in his
Wow.
class. So they're going to have a big presentation at Torrance High School for all of the winners. So that was pretty cool. man.
Diego!
Super proud of you, Diego.
I'm proud of you too, being kind of a quasi teacher, Diego. That is a great accomplishment, especially when you start getting into the STEM stuff.
Yeah.
Those are where the smart kids are
Yep,
doing
yep.
that kind of stuff. So, Diego, Tackle Shop Confessions, we're with you. The raffle is officially closed. We're ready to draw right now. So, Chuck, you're going to come over and you're going to tell me what we're drawing for, and then you're going to run over and we'll have the winner, right?
Yes.
That's how this works, right?
Don't let Phil touch the tape.
I'm not touching anything. What's first?
So I'll draw, then I'll go run it to
Chuck.
Chuck, and he will give me the name.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
What's the first thing we're
So
raffling,
the
Chuck?
first thing is the green tumbler.
Green tumbler,
the
yeah.
one we were gonna get rid of.
Down at the bottom.
But I guess we'll raffle it off.
Well, that's the one you found in the trash can, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not paint.
You cleaned it up, yeah.
That's not paint.
What, Linda Blair threw up on it? From The Exorcist?
So the first one will be. All right, go ahead and pill the ticket.
Green tumbler.
Green tumbler.
There you go.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
Ryan Robley.
Ryan Robley.
Come on
Ryan
down.
Robley.
Oh.
Don't listen to these guys, Ryan. That is one incredible thing that you have won. Way to go. Fantastic. Ryan Robley. We have all kinds of noise going on in the background for some reason. What's
All
going
right.
on?
Next
So the
one.
one's gonna be
Yes,
the
number
blue
2.
tumbler.
Blue tumbler
The
next.
blue tumbler. This one's worth something.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's got the Z custom rods on
Here
it.
we go. Here
All
we
right,
go. I'm
perfect.
pulling it right now.
That's gonna be Eric Beckett.
Eric Beckett. You know what? Eric Beckett.
Yes.
No, wait a minute. I
Oh.
gotta tell you this. He said, I don't have Venmo. Can you throw $10 in for me? And he only bought 2 tickets.
Woo.
And Eric, you thought I wasn't going to throw you in. He even sent me a note right before and said, confirming that you got, you know,
good,
that, yeah. Eric Beckett. You only need 2 tickets to win, man. All right, here we go.
Next
is
one.
gonna be the tuna jig, the streaker 320 gram.
The tuna jig.
No, man.
With a value of
$25.
$2,500. It's a really special jig. I signed it. So there it is. Here we go.
Willie Kim.
Willie
Kim.
He just
Wait, didn't he do something?
Well, he just asked us to verify.
Yeah.
And he wanted us to pick this ticket
Yes.
to verify.
Yeah, Willie.
So there you go, Willie.
Man, now it's starting to look like
Ask-
it's fixed.
Yeah, ask and you shall receive. I guess.
Willie, way to go, man. All these guys are winning. Eric Beckett, way to go. All right, we got the big stuff now, right?
All right, so here comes the Angler R pliers.
Oh, no.
split ring
Well, that's
pliers.
big.
That's big,
Angler
yeah.
R pliers.
Split ring pliers, brand
Split
new.
ring pliers. Willie Kim just said, thanks, Sam and Phil. Congratulations, Ryan. I love it.
Angler Rs.
Sanitize the Friedman Adventures tumbler. Chris Navarro.
This guy is lucky.
This it's a second win tonight.
It's Furman.
Furman Menendez,
He
right?
won Charlie's Rod last time.
Furman,
Oh, okay.
he is lucky, man. Furman, way to go. He probably bought $100 worth of tickets or something, though. But Furman, are you out there? Are you watching? Put a comment in there, man. Way to go. We're so proud
That's
of you.
awesome.
Yeah.
Man,
What's
this
the
is
next prize?
This is
So
like
this
more
is gonna
fun
be
than
for the
anything.
The TTR.
Here we go.
Deckhand
Big
style
stuff.
DTR.
What's that worth, Sam?
64.80, I think 450.
$450 rod. Anthony's
rod, too.
back there praying.
Now,
That
they
he
had the
gets
question about fly lining.
Yes.
For yellowtail, that'd be a perfect fly line rod.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah.
Anthony's
So,
praying
Who
for
was
this.
asking that question? Alex. So if you bought any tickets, Alex, hopefully I'll pick your ticket right now.
Yes.
Can't guarantee anything, though.
For sure. Robert Graver saying, congratulations, everybody. Chuck, who wins that rod?
Kenny Martinez.
Kenny
Kenny.
Martinez.
Woo.
I do not know Kenny Martinez. I don't
in the
think.
club?
Maybe I do. Kenny, are you out there?
Kenny's from our club.
He
from the
is?
club.
Yeah. He
Wowzers.
called me today. He goes, "You're doing raffles? What do you?" I was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, they're $5 a ticket. Check in." I
Wow.
think he threw in about $40 and
Phew.
got himself a $450.
Kenny Martinez just won a $450 rod. That's awesome.
Kenny got it.
All right, we only have 2 more to go, but I'm in no rush now that I've gone to the bathroom, Sam. I'm okay.
So this is going to be the 7-foot
CP rod.
CP rod.
What's that worth, Sam?
United Composites, I'd say 500, actually $600.
Wow.
This is a pretty freaking nice rod, man.
Kenny Martinez just put, yeah, baby. Kenny, way to go, buddy. All right, here we go. $600 rod, did I hear?
Yes.
Yes.
Easy.
Glenn Gully.
Glenn Gully.
Glenn Gully.
I've seen
Do you
him
know
on-
Glenn
I
Gully?
don't know Glenn Gully.
Do you know him?
I don't.
We
Well,
might know by face, you know what I mean? But
I think it's a
Glenn,
fake. I'll take the rod.
Glenn, Glenn, you just won a $650 rod, dude. Way to go. I hope you show up here in the comments.
All
All
right.
right, jigging
This
rod
is
time.
it.
Jigging rod.
The
here.
last one.
All Fuji components.
Beautiful rod.
UC blank.
The Z-Man made it.
Can I still buy some tickets?
Is Mackie, are you in this?
Can I still buy some tickets?
Yeah. What's that rod worth?
$600.
Woo!
Custom
Another
rod.
$600.
Phil Frieman.
Yeah, I won! Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.
That's going to go to Ricardo Conception.
Oh, Ricardo Concepcion.
There it is. Okay.
Ricardo Conception. You just won that gorgeous rod. What a night, Sam.
Woo!
That was fun.
That's crazy.
I got excited just because that one guy, like, he couldn't Venmo, he couldn't sell it. He goes, "Will you put 10 in, and
he
then I'll
won.
take care of you." And I trusted
Jeez.
him. And yeah, man. So great night. Thanks, everybody. What are we doing these once every month, something like that?
Once a month.
Once a month. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna try to sneak away with a 95 tonight,
We'll see.
and then
we'll see.
we'll raffle it off next month.
All right. Well,
If I don't get one tonight, then I'll pick one
Yeah.
up at the show.
We'll
we-
definitely get one before then. Yeah.
we got some bargaining to do here, but
yeah.
we'll see. Are we eating here tonight?
We are.
Food's
we tried
on the
to
way.
order, but we didn't have a zip code to order with. I didn't-
Oh, is this zip code here?
No, my
Oh,
billing zip
ah.
code. So, yeah.
No problem. Well, we'll figure something out.
Order some food.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, Sam. What a night.
Pretty
Always
crazy,
good to
man.
see you,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
PCS show. You want to have everybody show up. Monday's Tackle Shop Confessions. Sam's going to have a lot of great deals for you all. So keep that in mind. I'm sure he's going to have some great stuff. I'll be out there harassing Sam once in a while. And, of course, we really appreciate all you do for Friedman Adventures, for Sam here at Island Fishing Tqckle. And can't wait to do it again with you really soon. Chuck, thank you. Mackie, Anthony, everybody, we really appreciate it. We'll see you next week right here on Tackle Shop Confessions.